Okay, so the collection that we're having on here next, and I'll give them a call in just a second. The project that we're gonna have next here is Rags NFT, and I don't know. Listen, I haven't done too much research on this to be totally transparent, but I actually really love the designs of these. Orphan, good afternoon, good sir. How are you today? And what's new?
You know what? I'm happy to be here.
Good. I love
That's
it.
it. That's all I got. How are you, man?
Good. So give me a breakdown of what this Rags Cool is, because looking at the logos, the clothing, I'm like, this feels like a new age Digimon almost deal. And I'm a big fan.
That's the vibe for sure. Yeah, we're really Y2K inspired. So we're basically the long short of it is we're doing streetwear, but the streetwear is chipped. So we want to link it to directly to the blockchain. So we got these little thin little chips. They have their own wallet address. We put an NFT on them. We lock it so it's soul bound, and then that proves your digital asset with the physical item.
Yo. Okay, so we've seen, I think, a few people try to do that lately. I think Clone X with the artifact hoodies and Pixel Vault. I know that during their New York events, they had like these t-shirts and they were like, hey, like you're able to like scan it and add like an NFT. So I think it's awesome that there's projects out there that have kind of like the wide ranging net of like, hey, we're going to do these big aspirations and everything. And then people that are experts and, you know, specialists within their specific realm, which I feel you guys kind of are. So what made you decide to kind of pursue this? What was the kind of, oh shit, like there could definitely be a market here for this?
The impetus, honestly, was like when Bored Apes started releasing their hoodies last fall, and they were just normal, like normal merch. There's nothing special about them, but Bored Apes has this huge collection, and NFT NYC specifically. Like I heard it was kind of a shit show to get into the Bored Ape party, and so basically, I'm like, well, fuck, like why don't we just like put a chip on it and then be able to scan your way in?
Yo, that's brilliant. Yo, I
Yeah.
love that thought.
That's pretty much it, honestly. Like it started real simple like that. We've like you said, Nike Artifact did it, but their chip is a little bit simpler, so it's just a link. But what we've solved for is that like if that link goes down, so like say you link to OpenSea and OpenSea's not around in 5 years, um, your hoodie, the chip on your hoodie is not worth much anymore. But what we've got is like since the soulbound NFT is like locked on the chip, you're actually like as long as this chip scans, you can verify.
Now the perspective I have is that I think there is going to be a significant amount of brands, collections, IPs that start within the Web3 mantra that are going to outpace a lot of the traditional IP. Obviously, recently we had like Rugrats, for example, that came out and people were like, oh, I'm excited for this. But at the same time, you look at X amount of NFT collections and they're selling out, you know, for way more, way faster. The demand's X amount of higher, and it's something that was created within this Web3 kind of environment. So I'm curious your thoughts if you think that that's, you know, the Web3 native company, project, NFT collection, what have you, is going to do better than ones that are from the traditional world. And is that one of the reasons why you guys also decided to do the chips?
It's a tough one 'cause it depends on what scale you're looking at, right? I mean, obviously NFTs were really, really hot, and now they're, they're still pretty hot, and obviously there's a reason why we're still here, but I think that there's going to be some sort of synthesis that's hard to imagine. There's a lot of value that Web 2 brands bring. There's a lot of value that like agile Web 3 brands bring. And so I don't know. I mean, like really the play here and like where the value is in linking those two, and not like just saying you're going to do a TV show or, like linking in that way, but like actually onboarding people from Web 2 into Web 3 and then making that system easy for people.
Okay, so let me give a little bit of a rundown here through your site, and then we'll talk a little bit after, just so everybody can kind of see a full example of it. So here's one of the shirts and why NFTs in streetwear. So, augmented garments for a mixed reality world. Web3 loves to talk about the future, but right now the metaverse is looking a lot like Second Life. Are empty and browser sandlot hubs really the future of connection? We don't think so, and neither do investors. They're way more interested in augmented reality, AR, than virtual reality, VR, because they believe that the overlap of the digital on top of the physical world is a more compelling vision of futurity than sitting down at a console plugged in for eternity. Similarly, our vision of the future imagines physical, real world utility for chipped garments. Imagine a future where admission to events, early access to your favorite projects, and VIP tickets are linked to your favorite band shirt. I am such a fan of the way that you guys kind of sell this because you really kind of know what your niche is and what the reason for it, and kind of like the hey, this is the actual use case, where there is a lot of NFTs out there that don't have a use case. But with this, my mind kind of goes to, okay, this is going to be needed for people that own these different events or that are at these different concerts. And it sounds like there's going to be a need for, different partnerships, or potentially for you to get bought out by somebody like Token Proof, et cetera, et cetera. So how do you guys kind of envision the rollout, or getting more eyes on the project and adding those use cases to it?
For sure. Yeah, you're 100% right. There's a big B2B angle here where ideally this will be a huge value for existing physical companies, venues, bands, things like that. The plan right now is we're proving the concept, and so we're making sure our infrastructure's tight. I'm pretty sure we have the first token gated WordPress site. Most people are using Shopify right now, but the next plan is to expand that out so that artists can use the chips for their own projects. So, say Bored Apes wanted to collab with us, and their next hoodie actually had a chip, and they could, solve that problem that initially spawned like our idea. So that's the next step, and then yeah, for sure, the past that, business partnerships are going to be a big thing, and we're talking with people, but a lot has to, you have to crawl before you can walk, and walk before you can run. So we're working that way.
The other question, it's a chip. We nervous at all about putting it in the wash?
No, I mean, yes, long term, but that's the same with like anything, even stitching on hoodies or whatever. Eventually, things will fail. I don't know how far down the line, but we're working with Kong to manufacture these chips, and they are dryer proof, wash proof, pretty rigid. They're gonna last a good time, a good long time.
So it's kind of scrolling through the site a little bit more. You guys have your NFTs, and it shows that they are paused right now, at least for the protocols. So you have Bug, Mantis, and Nida. So for Bug edition of 4,000 to 100, access to purchase Bug tier drops, free physical exchanges, exclusive Discord channel role. Collab drops may increase available supply up to 100%. The next one for Mantis edition of 420, apropos for the space, but access to purchase Mantis and Bug tier drops, free physical exchanges, exclusive Discord role. Again, the collab drops may increase the supply. And then the Nidus edition of 69, again on par. Holy sheesh. Access to purchase Nidus, Mantis, and Bug tier drops, premium order support, free physical exchange, exclusive Discord role, yada, yada, yada. So give me the lowdown about why you have these different tiers, what the drops are going to kind of entail, and what the overall vision is with it.
For sure. So these are basically memberships. Plain and simple. That's what they are. It doesn't make its full sense right now, and that's why we have minting pause. Is that the idea is that you have a membership, and this is where things get a little complicated. You have a membership that allows you access to buy certain tiers of the drop, right? When you're buying the tiers of the drop, you're buying an NFT, and then you take that NFT and you burn it to redeem the physical, and then it gets shipped to you, right? But what will end up happening is when demand outstrips supply, um, these membership holders will basically their membership will turn into like almost a verified reseller permit. So whoever holds the highest tier membership, they'll be able to buy whatever they want in the store, and they'll be able to resell it because there's a week window where you can mint your NFT. You can essentially buy your hoodie or your garment, and then you can trade that on secondary. And then whoever ends up with that NFT on secondary can then burn and redeem for the hoodie. And so that's why we've gone with memberships, especially with streetwear. You know, it's like the higher exclusivity you can get, and you can prove the actual limited numbers of the drop, the better. So this is basically just our way to reward supporters and get them involved in the ecosystem.
So scrolling through the site a little bit more here. So, okay, so how the drops work, and this is kind of something that you just touched on, but again, just wanting to kind of reflect here. And Verb, I'm glad you're chilling in humans. Good morning, sir. So you get to own the protocol. Rags utilizes tier-based membership NFTs known as the Trinity protocols in order to determine what drops holders have access to. So. Actually, did we talk about the price points for them? I know that they're paused right now, but what are you thinking for the price points?
Yeah, so the minting price points are Bug is at what 0.069, Mantis is at 0.75, and then Nidus was 2.
Okay. So you guys are like, yo, these are gonna be bangers then. I like it. The purchase sealed
Yeah.
or sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Well, the price point is indicative of people being able to in the future buy them and make money off of them, not only with their value like as an NFT themselves, but that reseller aspect that I talked about. You know, if you buy a Nidus, you have access to everything, and so throughout over time, you should be able to easily make that 2 ETH back.
Well, so let's have a discussion about that for a second, because I'm not really like huge within the space for say like sneaker flipping or whatever, right? But that's really what a huge component of a lot of people are. In New York they'll wait outside for some special in-person drop only, or for the online stores with StockX, et cetera, they'll try to get these things and then kind of resell it. Are you designing a system where that's possible and that's kind of your goal and vision of it from kind of a basic level?
Yeah, I mean that's a big part of it because it's like you said, Grailed stock ags, like you can't get away from people wanting to make money on a hot commodity. It's the same way. It's a really similar thought process to video games and people who bought to cheat, like or Diablo 2 even. My friend in high school made a Diablo bot to go farm shit, and he like made like a good amount of money in high school doing that. So if there's money to be made off of something that's in demand, people are always going to do it. So I'm not a huge. I don't like flipping. I'm not a huge fan of that way that making money that way. I would rather create something. But that being said, like they're never going away. And so the idea here is how do we integrate that in a healthy way into the ecosystem and make it valuable for the end consumer as well as the reseller as well as us. And I think the best way to do that is what we have, where you give them a membership and they basically have a stake or a share in the success of Rags by holding that NFT. And that NFT also doubles, allowing them to, do their reselling in a mitigated and responsible way.
So also here on your website, because I just love going through websites and picking out every little single detail here, is your inspirations page. And there's a whole bunch of different things on here, including gaming consoles, cassettes. It looks like different fashion wear overall, and some other things that I'm not sure of, but also posters and whatnot. So what are all these inspirations, and how do you think they've affected you and kind of the brand's direction?
Our main inspiration is Val from Brink. You can see him there on the bottom. Pretty much that's it. That's the entire brand is the movie Brink from the Disney Channel.
I've never seen it. Does that make me a bad person?
You haven't, dude?
I have.
It's such a banger. That was like the movie when I was a kid.
Yeah. Okay. So what is it about? Can you give us a little bit of a rundown for anyone that doesn't know, like myself?
I'm just playing. Um, Everything is based around Y2K and that aesthetic. I think there's a few reasons for that, right? Is a lot of people in the Web3 space are they're millennials, usually from like 25 to 35. I mean, that's about the range that we're working with, right? So there's a heavy dose of nostalgia for early 2000s, late 90s. Um, and so we want, I mean, that's honestly what I think is cool right now. And so like, I want to design towards that. Um, but also there's an interesting rhyming going on with the .com boom of that era. Uh, I feel like Web3 is very similar to the .com boom, and so spiritually there's a little bit of a callback there that we can play with the hope of new technology, how that fits into the projects that we're creating, and then um, you know just take it from there.
You know, taking it from there and taking it to the heights, and you know, I want to kind of ask, like, what's your kind of like end goal with this? How big are you wanting it? Are you thinking, you know, like we want to have like a presence and collab with a couple different people, or is it really like, hey, we want to be like nationally recognized?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, globally recognized is the goal. We got big aspirations for what we're doing here, and most of those come with scale. And because we have such a flexible product here, I think there's a there's plenty of avenues where we can get to that level. Whether it's a buyout, you saw Artifact get picked up from by Nike. That's completely within our future if we keep down this path, or whether we become our own wholesaler and we produce garments that are pre-chipped that people can just buy and code themselves because everything is open and on chain. Um, yeah, sky's the limit, honestly.
It's kind of crazy that really that's the thing. It's like with NFTs is doesn't matter your background. You can come from anything, decide, hey, I want to do this, and as long as you can kind of get the word out and people think that what you're doing is cool, you literally can turn it into a national brand. And I think like at least for me growing up, you're like, oh, okay, you have to be, you know, from a certain family or know the right people in that. And it's cool that this is kind of opening up so many doors. So just kind of talking openly here about the NFT space, Web3, and the future of things. How do you feel? Obviously, the market's taking a little bit of a downturn, but we still have an immense amount of NFT collectors out there. A lot of people are still, you know, screaming, yo, crypto is the future. So, what's your thoughts on kind of the space as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, the space is definitely in a little downturn right now. I don't know who knows how long it's going to last. Uh, but what hasn't changed is the utility of the technology, and if you used correctly, if used as like a proper medium, it it brings value to everyone. Like Web 2 and Web 3 are going to merge in the future. I don't know what it's going to be called, if everyone's just going to move to Web 3, but there will, there's no the veil will be lifted there, and then it'll all just be kind of how things are, right? So as far as the future goes, I mean, I think that we're on the right path. I mean, I think in any NFT project right now that is genuinely thinking about the majority of the population and not just this niche group of NFT collectors, and how NFTs can help those people, I think that's never going to go away because it's just straight up value at that point. What do you think? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, I think that we're we're at a point where I don't think there is like a very good onboarding method, and that scares me like a lot. Like I think about
Mm.
that a lot. Just what NBA Top Shot did for the entire space, where it was kind of this cool thing. Obviously, you know, there was that huge downswing, but it was one of the greatest onboarders that have ever happened for crypto as an industry. Because you have to think about it when you're talking to people and you're saying, "Hey, get into Bitcoin or Ethereum." they don't necessarily get it from a fundamental level because, you see these price actions, you're like, oh, well, if you bought that, you're down massively. And for NFTs, you have the perspective of people are able to be attached to a brand, but I don't think there has been too many collections out there that have really broken the barrier of people that are already naturally within the space. And it's kind of, the jokes about everybody's trading amongst ourselves. And so I'm really excited to see what's going to be that catalyst or the platform protocol that's going to really bring in the outside audience. Is it going to be somebody like Epic Games that decides to NFTify one of their games? Is it going to be, bigger and bigger artists that are doing it that people are just like, oh, okay, well, here's an artist or musician that I like, and now they're in the space? Because I think also musical NFTs haven't really gotten done their justice overall. But if you were going to pick, I'll kind of put you on the spot here, a category of some sort within NFTs Web3 that's really going to have a big boom at some point, what do you think that category is?
It's a good question because I think you're right on, man. I think it's there's not enough people thinking about onboarding, and that's where the future is, right? I'm with you, man. I think gaming's gonna be a huge one. The things that popped into my mind when you were saying your piece was Nifty Gateway did that with art because they allowed fiat payment, and the drops were really hype, and people could get on. They could just buy a piece of art. They had a custodial wallet. Everything was taken care of them, right? That was a great onboarding, and I think that honestly probably led to a lot of new people getting into Web3. Uh, Games are another big one, especially because their demographic is younger, and younger people are more skewed to learn new technology. And that's just kind of a natural thing. Like they already know digital items, so just making sure that they're on chain and providing a system where that's easy to on ramp them, I think that's just a no brainer. And I mean, honestly, shilling a little bit here, I think that we're kind of the next wave. I think you go to a store, you buy a hoodie, it's got a chip, you scan it after purchase, and you activate it, and you have a custodial wallet that has an NFT on it. You also have, your garment that is an NFT essentially. I think that's a great onboarding as well. So, you're right on the money with like what we should be thinking about, I believe.
It's cool when I get to do these interviews, and I feel like it's just a very nice back and forth conversation about the space here. And I appreciate you coming on and giving your time here. But as we're wrapping up, kind of what I've been doing with every guest is just giving the floor, making people know here's the details regarding the mint, anything they need to be paying attention to. Floor is yours. What do people need to know?
Yeah, man, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me on. I'm glad we finally made it happen. I know we've been talking on the back end a little bit, so appreciate you. Um, you know what? Right now we are finishing up some development so we can get this first drop out. Pretty much, the way to interact with us is either Discord at discord.gg/ragsnft or on Twitter at ragsnft. We're those two places most of the time. OpenSea, we have the memberships if you want to prepare for the first drop. Um, Man, I forgot the URL on the OpenSea, but it's on our Twitter bio. So just click through there, and you'll end up there. Um, Great stuff coming. Once this first drop comes out, we're off to the races. So
Good.
excited.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, we got the chat, or sorry, we have the link down there in the chat for anybody that's tuned in right now. If you're wanting to follow Rags NFT and kind of see what their journey is. But boss, again, thank you so much for coming on, and hopefully we'll talk again here in the future.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
All right, peace, peace. Yo, banger, dude. Shit.